This is Otaku Station broadcasting our analysis of Gundam Wing, Episode 2. It's interesting the order in which they show these, right? This is the end of the most recent of the last episode.
Yeah.
But then we cut to what happened basically in the middle of the episode with the Gundam falling down, which I think is a bit of a hint in the sense that we start relationship first.
Right.
And then we have the mecha sort of consequence, what's going on with the mecha. So I think they're saying we assume you care a little bit more about the relationships at this point.
The school rom-com is highlighted in this moment where the shonen mecha thing is just slightly behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. People have described Gundam Wing as having amazing animation. And there's some amazing animation in Gundam Wing. But there are moments with this where it's literally just ding, ding, ding,
Mm-hmm.
where it just doesn't come across. And that is not a complaint. It's just say that lots of anime have budgetary constraints, and this is one of them on screen.
They're spending the money where they want to make the most impact.
Exactly.
And it's not here.
No. What a Rosa Versailles moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But also the physical power in the body of that 15-year-old boy is kind of what they're getting across there.
That he can shatter a metal sword and still take the broken end to shove it in the eye of his classmate.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Note Relina's expression there, though, right? She's surprised, but also cogitating.
Right.
This isn't a over-the-top, we were talking before, shoujo kind of reaction. This is a I'm intrigued expression. Okay, so that's an indication of character, right? That he lies to a fellow member of his organization, but doing it in a way that is probably helpful to both of them. So certainly it's a thing people do a lot. You know, it's ethically questionable, but also indicating this is certainly not the most morally firm person around.
And it also provides more information that the Alliance is not exactly all service branches are in this together. They understand what the corporate mission is. They're little competitive elements to it where he has to come up with something to justify being in this area because the dude on the carrier is going to be like, nope, get out of our zone. This is our thing. You go away. So.
Yeah, great point. We now realize Hiro knows fencing and how to ride a horse, which probably isn't something that is standard curriculum on the colonies. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I'd be surprised there were horses on the colony.
Yeah,
really.
I know. Interesting.
For this scene, the pink curtains makes me think he's come up from the horse to a woman's room. You know what I mean? Like, right. Is that the visual cue for this? And then he's hacking whoever she is. Maybe it's the love interest girl. Her computer to find top secret information. But I don't see a lot of girly things in the room other than the pink curtains.
Right.
So
unclear. If you like mid-90s tech, boy, is this mid-90s tech. Wow. Okay.
What the?
All right, Mr. Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But again, we're, establishing exactly what Hiro Yui is capable of. Right.
He does have a lot of similarities to Full Metal Panic Boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It is Sosuke. This is worth pointing out from a pure kind of storytelling perspective. Look at the detail on the gun. Right. Everything else in this scene is drawn in kind of normal levels of detail, but they really want to draw your eye towards the fact that he's got that gun on him. It's actually worth pointing out how little we're talking.
Yeah.
At this point in the episode, how they're kind of letting this play out at the beginning of this episode. That first episode established a lot. And in this episode, again, we're 7 minutes in, and it's really just been continuing on with what we already know and giving us a little bit more information of heroes hacking into somebody. There's a submarine involved. There's some new mobile suits going on. But they're really letting it play out. To your earlier point, John, about the various factions not being really aligned here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess Zex will be okay. Maybe, who knows? Just fire.
I was going to say, because it looks kind of like it's a rather expensive piece of submarine equipment, and you're gonna take the chance of blowing it up.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, man.
Mm-hmm. But note here how much animation they're putting on all of the launching of the torpedoes and so forth and so on. This is what the show's about.
Yep.
Interesting what Zex says here. Our enemy is nearby. On the one hand, that could be saying basically, if you get attacked by somebody, attack back.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's them or not. Or it's like literally the inference of, well, if they're attacking somebody, if there's commotion going on, clearly there's an enemy somewhere, so be on your guard. But I like that you can go either way with that.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about costume design here. If this were Utena, that would not be nearly enough.
No.
If this were
It'd
shoujo,
be much more flowy. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Yes, it'd just be ruffles everywhere. But this is very elegant and understated, and she is like 15 years old, right? Or thereabouts. So for a party for something like this is appropriate, I would say, at that level. Also remember that we've got this sort of Napoleonic era kind of vibe of uniforms and so forth, in which you would have a more conservative attitude towards how teenagers would dress, for example. And so I think you go either way. It could be very over the top the way you got dresses back then, or you could say she's 15, she's not engaged to anyone. She's still young, so this is very appropriate. But it's also I would say elegant.
Well, I'd say certainly from the design perspective of, again, budget,
Mm-hmm.
this is well done. It does the purpose of what it's trying to do. It's not acres of lace that you're trying to animate.
Yeah.
Moving.
Right.
So it's like it's a uniform color. It's fairly simplistic. You don't, even when you look at her arms where she's wearing gloves or whatever's on her arm, you're not even seeing the attempt to make an elastic material slightly pressing into the flesh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is just straight pipe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so you've gotten the visuals across. Here she is. She's dressed up for her party.
Yep.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
She's dressed for her party. That's it. Here you go.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
And I'm also realizing that this is her birthday party. Right? She's not coming out. She's not. This is not a public occasion, so to speak. So yeah. I remember first hearing that and wondering about that line delivery. I think that's very intentional. She is very distracted at the moment, and so I think she is just going through the motions. So it's interesting to hear how Relina is connecting the dots, in the sense that she didn't see him getting out of a capsule, right? She just saw him wash up on a beach, but she is connecting the dots time-wise to go, oh, okay, that happened. Boy washes up on beach in a spacesuit. Must be related. So she's got something going on up here in her noggin.
And I appreciate the fact she's protagonist Chan. At least at this portion.
Yeah.
That she is not you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she is thinking. She is piecing things together. She's got her own sort of thing going on. She's not just the rich girl, whose daddy's important.
And to that point, when her friends compliment her or whatever, she responds, right? She doesn't just treat that as normal. She's a polite person.
She seems dialed into where she's at, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. Which is actually an interesting point. I'm just realizing now. Japan is famously a kind of the nation of the universal middle class, right? So you don't have a lot of examples of wealth that is psychologically stable. I guess no,
Right.
but, the stereotype of the wealthy person, which is very easy drama, right? Crops up all the time. It is kind of remarkable that they have a character that is not feeding into that stereotype.
Yeah. Well, one that I would say to your point is kind of a little bit more dialed into actual Japanese, like rich people at this period of time, where it's like they are, very measured. They are not. They are not the trope of. You know what I mean? It's not ostentatious, and it's like that's exactly the way she's playing it. Her father isn't, lording anything around and flaunting anything. Nope, he's got his envelope. He's ready to leave. He's got to go off do his thing.
To that point,
he's very measured.
He's wearing a classic sort of Japanese business person suit.
Yep.
Right. So that's a good point. Yeah.
It's the display of wealth by your presence and your attitude versus the ostentatious display, which is interrupting to what we always talk about, the wa.
Right. Yeah. Which might also go back to her dress, right? Where it's not meant to be ostentatious because it's not what you do.
Right. Yeah. It's how you behave. It is your personal presentation.
Huh. And actually, now that I think about it, she saw him jump up and, kick a bunch of guys and drive off. She never saw him shoot people or do any of the espionage stuff. He just showed up the next day in her class. So she probably has this somewhat romanticized vision of him in her head. Huh.
He's not a violent sociopath. He's just some misunderstood guy who just washed up.
Okay. Yeah.
Just wait.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, to that point, we then smash cut to him driving a stolen bunch of torpedoes somewhere. Yeah. We've seen Katra before, taking down 2 guys in the desert. We see him here in kind of an oasis in the desert, but he already sees Earth as beautiful.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, it's also interesting, too, that we have Hiro, who is on his one-man torpedo mission. We've got Lion-O, who is now hanging out with the circus to try and sort of cover his tracks and sort of blend in. Here we've got the guy who seems to have the most thoughtfulness with, I won't kill you if you just stop resisting. He's the only one that is set up in a tent and has a butler helping him, has all of his squad around the area. It's like he's the only one that seems to be with a unit. Everybody else is just solo acting out there.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Death Scythe cutting the boats in half.
Yeah.
It's like, interesting. Why?
Right.
Everybody else, I thought it was going to be everybody else kind of is wreaking havoc on purpose.
Yeah.
Is he holding a unit together for a reason? Like he's waiting for them to do something and then he moves in with force. So
yeah. Well, and I think this image does a couple of things. One is it's marrying Katra's Gundam to nature, and giving that sense of peace. It also tells us he has not been using his Gundam recently. But I think it's also in contrast to the other mobile suits, right? You would never see Death Scythe covered in flamingos, right?
Yeah.
But also, perhaps more importantly, this is a little bit of a callback to original Gundam and the flamingos flying up in Jaburo, which I don't think, John, you've been to yet. There's a famous shot in original Gundam where the white base is taking off and there's a giant flock of flamingos flying along with it. I think they may be, referencing that a little bit, which is a moment of escape. It's a moment of kind of release. So I think that may be a little bit of what's going on here.
Okay. Well, it's also, to me, it's a curiosity. That is a very interesting pose for a Gundam.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's this sort of relaxed, leaning back, just sort of wistfully looking off to somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas I most of the Gundams you see people getting in and out of are standing, or they've got some kind of contraption that helps them get into it.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that kind of repose for having a Gundam.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very chill.
Yeah.
To your earlier point, not an ostentatious cake.
Hmm.
Yeah. Looks like it came from Giant. They're not dressed like they're rich either. But they all go to the same like highfalutin boarding school, not even boarding
Yep.
school, but like academy. So yeah, this is not typical ostentatious stuff.
Yeah, and we've seen the officer corps look like they walked off of the battlefield at Waterloo.
Yeah, right.
So we know they know how to do fancy, and
Mm-hmm.
this is just really understated.
Mm-hmm. Even the adults in the background are just wearing suits. Yeah.
The most overdressed of them.
Yeah, he is the most overdressed.
Yeah. Oh, like, wow.
I think he might have a little thing for Alina, just possibly.
You think?
Yeah.
A bouquet of roses. Oh, yes. And lilies. She has shown agitation.
She has absolutely shown agitation and a commanding presence, which maybe she learned from her father. He's certainly a firm person, but clearly not an unkind one.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. This is we are certainly establishing now that the Gundams here are like the Gundams in original Gundam. It is a quantum leap in technology and quantum leap in armor protectiveness. We're learning a few things here.
Yes, we are.
We're learning that they have no idea what each other are doing.
Yep.
And that they have no problem scavenging each other's equipment. For better or worse. Also, he was surprised that it is laid out the same way.
Yeah. Well, and that's the part you would have thought they were coordinated in coming down, because they all came down in a relatively same period of time.
Yeah. And we see all
But none of them know, like,
yeah.
Which, for operational security, if everybody has a different piece of the operation,
Yep.
and somebody gets caught, you can't blow the whole thing. So maybe that's to my point, where it's like they're causing havoc because that's their part of the operation versus the kid who's the more heartfelt. He's got a bunch of other people because that's his part of the operation. Like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Relina, bad idea.
And is he trying to steal a submarine?
Something like that.
One man, he can do everything.
But this does, all kidding aside, point out Relina is intelligent in the sense that she can put two and two together, but she is rather naive. I think she just does not connect with what Hiro may be doing at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also note, why isn't Hiro responding to her? In other words, why doesn't he just shoot her? Right? She knows who she is, all that kind of stuff. Because he knows she's not a threat and he can shoot her anytime, basically. Right? Like, this is something he can deal with at any point.
True.
So we're establishing here also what a marksman the duo is.
Yeah.
I love the dramatic angle here. This is almost what you'd expect in a sports anime, when a girl gives the guy her, her bandana to tie on his arm for the final race. It's just kind of dramatic in a wonderful way. Why does he say that?
Because he failed his mission and he's gonna die.
He's relieved that it's over.
Yeah. He's about to blow up his own mobile suit, which should have blown up before, right?
Yep.
He's deliberately failing his mission. And essentially trying to take himself out in the process. All right, that's episode 2.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. What did you notice?
Well, we've balanced back more towards getting the Gundams involved in things. So we had a little bit of the party, we had a little bit of the interpersonal play.
True.
A little smattering of some Gundam stuff, and then back to who are you, what's going on, more personal people things. So it's a nice balance so far.
Okay.
We have a little indication of like some of the political things going on, the inter-service branch conflict kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
not very much about what the politics of the planet are, what how things are with the alliance, and how what the real political organization is. But okay.
What kind of factions or characters do we have featured in this episode? We have Relina, and her father. We have Hiro and at the end of the duo coming in, but kind of him doing his thing. We have Zex going around doing stuff. We don't really have much sense of what Zex's organization Oz is doing. He's just running around in this submarine. So really, to your point, this is much more about Relina, Hiro's mission, kind of balance of various things, seeing what's going on with the military to a larger degree, that it's not very loyal to each other. But yeah.
Sense of corruption, because we saw the guy pay for a truck and a bunch of explosives from what looked like very much military people who were like, hey, it's fine, where's the money?
Good point.
That's cool, just give me the cash. So we got an element that we know there's corruption involved.
We also saw all the Gundam pilots again. So we're reminded of all them. So yeah.
So we're given an idea that the alliance is really just that. An alliance. It's not a cohesive thing because of when you're dropping all your torpedoes on someone's supposed to be your ally. So there's a little bit of a problem there. But it just kind of shows one of the things about Zex and what we saw in the first episode of Oz, what we see of Oz is, here's an organization that people don't like for various reasons. We'll find out those reasons as they go along. And so, the captain of this small little task force had no problem doing this. So he felt obviously there was not going to be any repercussions. If he played it right. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, is Oz an organization that other people in the military are just like, that's okay? If Zex dies, if this goes under, that's fine. We're okay with that because we don't like these guys. It's kind of like like when you look at World War II, the various different upcoming new military organizations. How a lot of people looked at them like the original SAS. A lot of people looked at that and them and just said, yeah, whatever, dude. And really just were okay if they went on suicide missions and didn't come back because they wanted that particular organization to fail. So it's just kind of like, is that what this is? And probably some of these people know that Oz is like going, well, we're actually going for not only global, but basically solar system domination. So
I'm actually kind of impressed with the variety of things that we are introduced to and are balanced throughout the episode, that they're managing to manage the information that they're giving to us. This episode was not, okay, and here's what's going on with Oz, right? It's like, we don't care about that yet. We care about Relina and Hiro and all that kind of stuff. We can get to that later. And I think that was smart of them. A lot of shows want to show you their world building, and they're holding off on that appropriately. I'm sure we'll get there.
But I want to see where Hiro and Relina dance at her birthday party.
Ooh, yes. And then he pulls a knife.
It's to cut the cake, Relina. Through you. Ah! Oh, no.
A Bowie knife is the perfect thing for cutting a cake. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting how we get the just variety of perspectives here too on things, on how we see. I'm not gonna be able to find it, but like, yeah, I'm just getting explosions. How we get how Zex is very mission focused, right? I have a thing to do. I'm gonna do that. However, I need to do that, even if it involves just kind of wheeling and dealing or, lying to somebody. And we see Hiro actually being kind of a little more with it this episode. Like when we see him hacking in, again, I'm never going to be able to find it. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
He's talking to himself and figuring things out and so forth, and he seems more normal. And then by the end, he's on a literal suicide mission. And so there's this interesting question of like, how much is he biding his time? How much has he decided already that he has failed? And where he's going with that. And then you get Relina, who's just fascinated by this guy and can't get him out of her head. And it's like Relina's in a shoujo anime, he's in a shonen anime. And it's just, actually more like Relina's a shoujo character in a shonen anime. And it's just like, no. I don't know. It's just interesting.
I mean, and certainly that whole last thing where he pulls the gun on her.
Yeah.
And she's surprised,
mm-hmm.
but then she goes off and like starts bandaging his wounds like he wasn't just trying to kill her. So it's like, you know, to your point that where it's like she's intelligent, but she's naive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. She's somewhat sheltered, perhaps.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hero's had guns pulled on him every day since he was 4. But she's never had a gun pulled on her at all.
Probably, you know. We talk about Sosuke Sagara. I mean, that's that kind of thing. But yeah, I also appreciate getting back to our earlier point about the kind of camera angles here, how we get these powerful images, right? You know, you could shoot somebody holding a gun to somebody from multiple different angles. This is just such a compact, powerful way of getting that across. And then, you know, you see, you know, just how they position everyone in these shots. It's just the amount of information they're giving to you is very clear every single shot. Sometimes it's very simple. Like, here's a great example. Duo is an unknown force at this point, so we see him from a distance. We don't know exactly who it is, so he is at a distance because he is this sort of enemy character at this point. And then once we realize what's going on, we get this very dramatic angle on him, kind of up top. You'd think one way of doing this would be to shoot him from the bottom up to make him seem larger, but we come down on top of him because this gives us kind of more dynamism to his to that angle, and that kind of almost over the top pose he has with the arm behind him, you know, almost like he's at the start of a race. But yeah, that's episode 2 of Gundam Wing. Hiro Yui is a very weird protagonist for a shonen anime, even a war anime, but still. When you think of the protagonists of other shonen anime, they're usually either role models, think Tanjiro from Demon Slayer or Goku from Dragon Ball Z. They might be delinquents or outcasts, think like Ichigo from Bleach, Naruto from Naruto, that kind of thing. A lot of protagonists of sports anime are a little bit of outcasts, but they almost always have a heart of gold. Naruto, Ichigo, all the rest. Hiro Yui has no heart. He doesn't appear to, certainly in how he behaves with Relina and the other characters in the show. He's kind of empty. And I think that's one of the things that makes the show so intriguing. Why would you create a show where that's your main character? Somebody who is that walled off from everyone else, who seems to have no ability to connect with human emotions or desires. That might help explain why Gundam Wing got an audience early, because that's definitely a statement.